All right, hello. So I wanted to give you a video tutorial for your next writing assignment. That's from Chapter 8. It's the positive messages. Uh, if you want a little more background or information on Chapter 8, well, I know you've already done the reading. I know you've already completed the Cengage homework for that. I do have a lecture available. If you take a look in the Canvas modules under lecture recordings, you'll find one from Monday, July 5th. Where I explain the different pieces from Chapter 8 positive message writing assignment. All right. And so there's going to be a lot of similarities to the short business messages you've just completed. Really, the difference is they're going to be a little bit longer and they're a little more specific in what you're looking for. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to go through the different options that are available for this writing assignment. They'll be due on Friday, July 16th. And I will, prior to that date, I will have your short business messages completed and graded so that you kind of gauge what I'm looking for in your writing assignments. But I think they're pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and show you where all that is, and I'm going to go over the writing prompts with you. And again, if you have any questions, please ask. Some of you have given me some different questions with the most recent writing assignment and some other things, and hopefully I can clear up any confusion that I have. It wouldn't be very good if your business communications instructor was confusing, but I know sometimes in an online environment where it's not live, you're not in person and things like that, sometimes the message can get a little muddled. So you will find, let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen so that we can see all these assignments. So as always, they are in the modules section, and your Chapter 8 positive messages are under week 4. I put them under week 4 because that's when I discuss them, but they're not going to be due until the end of this week. Okay. So the writing assignment itself, and again, you can go in and take a look at the Chapter 8 notes, or again, go back and look at the video. If you've got an hour or so and you want to listen to me lecture and talk about the different options, take a look at that. So for this particular assignment, it's due Friday, July 16th. Similar format to the previous one, all right? You're gonna have 3 different options here, all right? And you'll pick one of these for your positive message. So you've got 3 different options, and I'll go through these briefly, and then I'm gonna read the activities, but you can find more information for each one of these prompts in the chapter activities. And I've posted a link for those in the module. I've condensed it down to just the information for just those 3 options. Or if you look in your online textbook, they're in the chapter activities at the end of Chapter 8. It's probably easier to look at the info right here on Canvas because I only list the information for these 3, and there's probably 10 or 15 of them in the chapter activities. So here are your different options. You've got 3 from Chapter 8. Number 8.9 is a direct request. So again, from your chapter, one of the types of positive messages is a direct request where we're asking for something from someone. We're either asking for information or asking for action. And direct, again, just means we front load the main idea. So really what this means is the first, and in any of these, the first sentence of your message is going to be that main idea. And that's okay to jump right in. Even if you're requesting something, you just do that professionally and politely. Please answer the following questions about such and such. Please refund me the $27.99 I was charged in error, etc. We always front load that main idea. And I think there's one thing that you can do. This is just a little tip that I have. Even though maybe your first paragraph has more than just that direct opening, sometimes what I think is a really effective technique in these kind of messages is, you have that main idea that you're opening with, just set that sentence off on its own in an email. Even though maybe technically it should be part of that first paragraph, maybe it's the topic sentence of your first paragraph. I know that's correct, grammar and usage, but it can be really effective if you separate it from that paragraph. So that first line someone sees, and the only first line is that direct request. So you've got 3 options here. Exercise 8.9 is a direct request, and it says planning a winter retreat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm going to read it to you in more detail in a minute, but essentially you work for a company that's planning a winter corporate retreat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and you're going to be asking questions of a resort to see if that's where you want to book your stay. And in the activity, there's some things that you want to ask for them. So again, that's direct request. So usually the best way with something like that is to start right out and say, you know, my company's planning a winter retreat on these dates. Please answer the following questions about your resort. Okay. And don't worry about jumping in too fast, because you're simply asking questions of somebody who that's what they do for a living. 8.16, it says direct claim, the real thing. And I'll read through this one in more detail, but essentially here it's you making a claim for something. You want something corrected. A really great example that comes up here that almost all of us have encountered is we order things online and sometimes things don't work correctly, or we purchase something online and something doesn't work incorrectly. So you could use a real life scenario if you've ever had this happen. You know, let's say you ordered a pair of shoes and they were supposed to be in a certain color, and when they showed up, they were in a different color, or something was not to your satisfaction. You might then be contacting that company and saying you want to return those. You might say, please send me a new pair of XYZ to replace the incorrect order I received on this date. And that would be your opening. And then you would give some of the details in the letter. Or it could be something like, another really common one is sometimes we get charged incorrectly. I know online. I know, actually, come to think of it, I've got to send something out for something like this. I'm not sure why I got charged twice for something. I'm sure they'll clarify it for me, but it's something as simple as saying, please reimburse me the $27.99 I was charged in error on July 4th, 2021. That's your opening. Then you explain, right, why you needed it. 8.16. And you can use a real situation, or you can create a fictitious one if you'd like. 8.18 is an adjustment. And an adjustment is a response to somebody's claim. All right. So for instance, someone makes a claim, please reimburse me the $27.99 I was charged in error. If you're going to go ahead and make that adjustment, your reply would be, we have credited your account $27.99 that you were charged in error on this date. And then continue on and give a little bit more information. In this particular case, it's a claim, and we'll read through it in a second. You have a customer, it's actually a rental car agency, and a customer was charged erroneously for a car GPS system of some kind. And you're telling them, here's your reimbursement, okay? Remember to include a subject line if you're writing an email, message, or memo. So I think that's really important. Include a subject line. And your subject line, again, should kind of be a preview of the main idea in the message. So for instance, in 8.16, if it's the real thing and you're asking someone for a reimbursement, and your subject line might say, order number 12345 - reimbursement for erroneous charge. Something as simple as that. It informs, right, the reader of what's to come a little bit. It gives them a preview, okay? I want you to complete your assignment either using Microsoft Word or Google Docs, or also a PDF. I actually think a PDF is sometimes the easiest one for people to upload and post to Canvas, just because you can do that whether you're using, you know, a Chromebook, a Mac, or a PC. Also, they're a little easier for me to grade in Canvas, but submit your assignment via Canvas. You can write it as a letter or an email. Personally, I think an email is easier because all you need to do is a subject line. If you write it as a letter, you know, using all those addresses, it takes up a lot more space, and you have to figure out how to do a letter heading and everything else. So I'd recommend the email. Actually, it takes up a little less space. So at the top, I'll list your full name, the exercise number, and then give me the subject line. And then down below here, excuse me, I have the grading template for the assignments. Okay. So those are your three options. All right. So let me give you a little more detail about all the possibilities here. Okay. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry. That was awesome to have on a recording. Anyway, 8.9, direct request, planning a winter retreat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So it says your employer, the Pointer Media Group of Chicago, Illinois, had an excellent year, and the CEO would like to reward the troops for their hard work with a rustic yet plush winter retreat. Obviously, timing's a little off on this, but you get it. The CEO wants his company to host a 4-day combination conference, retreat, vacation for 55 marketing professionals and their spouses or significant others, or I probably should just change that to say guests, at a spectacular winter resort. So keep that number in mind when you're asking, because that's an important detail. You're going to need to let them know we're going to need accommodations for 110 people. One of the choices is Jackson Hole, Wyoming, a famous ski resort with steep slopes and dramatic mountain views. The location is popular for its proximity to Grand Teton National Park, Yellowstone, and the National Elk Refuge. As the marketing manager, you're also going to investigate winter resorts in Utah and Colorado. As you search the web and investigate options in Jackson Hole, you're captivated by the Four Seasons Resort, a 5-star facility with many amenities. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The website on the Four Seasons Jackson Hole is not very explicit for business and event facilities. So you have a few key questions, right? So this is information you're going to need to give to the folks you're writing the message to. It says you're going to need about 50 rooms, again, 50 folks and their guests. You also need conference rooms to accommodate 25 participants or more for 1.5 days. You want to know about room rates, conference facilities, AV equipment in the conference rooms, and entertainment options. You have 2 periods that would be possible, either December 10th through 14th or January 14th through 18th. You realize that both are peak times, but you wonder whether you can get a discounted rate. You're interested in entertainment on site in Jackson Hole and tours to nearby national parks. Jackson Hole Airport is 4.5 miles away, and you want to find out whether the hotel operates a shuttle. I know that sounds weird in the Uber era, but actually that's not a bad thing, since probably you have a whole bunch of people coming in at once and trying to all go there, and that's something most hotels do anyway. Also, one evening, the CEO will want to host a banquet for about 85 people, okay? Mr. Pointer wants a report by September 14th. So again, now you have a deadline, okay? You need to get this, information. You probably want it sooner than that because your boss wants a report by September 14th. So you may want it a week or 2 before. Write a well-organized direct request email to Jackie Sullivan, sales manager of the Four Seasons Resort. You might look at the resort website for general information. I think you can get everything that you need here. So just a couple things with this, okay? When you're asking for this information, I think one of the things you want to do up front, right, rather than getting into a whole set of questions, is maybe initially your initial questions should be about availability, right? Are they available on either of the dates listed there, right? And then is that number of rooms available? Because those questions are going to drive everything else. If there's nothing available on December 10th through January 14th, the rest of it's all moot. So start with that. Just let them know in the, kind of up front, we need about 55 rooms or whatever is listed on the thing here, and these dates, and find out if those are available. Then you can kind of go into your list of questions. And what you probably want to do is put some of this information together, right? Obviously, it's, are you available these dates in this many rooms? But then you want to get into things like they mentioned a group discount, conference facilities, banquet facilities. That's another question. Okay. Entertainment options, right? And transportation options. Those are your questions. So that might be 4 really good bullet points there. And one thing to keep in mind again too, and I touched on this if you watch the lecture that I put together and read your notes, is try and keep your questions open-ended, right? So instead of, when we get to the point, instead of just saying, do you offer group discounts, right? Because that's just a yes or no question, right? Reword that and say, what type of group discounts do you offer? Okay. Because a yes or no answer is not really going to get you anywhere. Granted, a good salesperson is going to kind of put you in the right direction to give you a more open-ended response, but try and make your questions more open-ended. Ask, what type of group discounts do you offer? What type of conference facilities do you offer? Question mark. We need such and such rooms for 1.5 days with AV facilities. What type of conference or banquet facilities do you offer? Same thing with entertainment. Instead of just saying, do you offer tours of the national parks, or do you offer entertainment on site? Say, ask, what type of activities do you offer for your guests? And let them fill in the blanks for you. Finally, the last one, it says, do you operate a hotel shuttle or not? The question would be, what type of transportation do you offer to and from the airport? And that's a valid question. Like I said, I know nowadays everybody's just kind of like, yeah, I get on, I hit Uber, but A lot of hotels offer, free shuttles between the airports. And sometimes it's kind of nice to, if you've got all your stuff with you, right? Much easier to throw it into a shuttle van with shelves and everything than hop into an Uber. And, what if you've got the plane lands and you've got 100 employees coming in? It's going to be, maybe it'd be easier to take Uber on, but just ask what type of transportation do you offer? Okay. And then finally, let them know you have a deadline. All right. So that is 8.9, which is, again, planning a winter retreat. 8.16, the direct claim, the real thing. Like most consumers, you've probably occasionally been unhappy with service or products you have used. Absolutely, that happens. Select a product or service that has disappointed you. Write a claim letter requesting a refund, or replacement, explanation, or whatever seems reasonable. Generally, such messages are addressed to customer service departments. I recognize that, we don't know, especially if it's something online. If you have an issue with your iPhone, you're probably not going to be able to get a message off to a specific person, but you might say, "Dear Apple customer service," or something like that. Okay. Has a little more information. Says for claims about food products, be sure to include barcode information. The thing I would say too, if it was something with regards to an internet purchase, include an account number, include an order number or something. You can just make something up, right? Include those things, because the more information that you give someone, right, the easier it is for them to help you. Even though we have great computer systems that can cross-reference everything, it's much easier to help somebody. And that, those of you that work in retail, right? It's much easier if somebody has some information. Remember that smart companies want to know what their customers think, especially if a product could be improved. Give your ideas for improvement. One of my things with the claim is always, I think it's difficult sometimes because we're disappointed. Something didn't go right. I got double charged. I got the wrong item ordered. The order never showed up. Whatever it is, there's some disappointment as a customer, and that's understandable. And it's okay to say that, right? On the other hand, I think far too many people take that emotion to another step, and they're angry. They're almost angry, which, like I said, somewhat understandable. But remember, we just want it corrected, right? If I ask for a refund, I just want a refund. I don't need to get people fired or point fingers or tell them they ruined my life. I just want a refund, right? That's ultimately all I want, is I want it corrected, or a replacement, right? Or something like that, okay? Try and keep it about business. When people let the emotions seep in a little, because at some point a person is going to be handling this, right? And it's much easier if you just keep it about business and keep focused on what you want, as opposed to throwing a bunch of emotion in there. And those of you that work with customers, and we've all worked with angry customers and people before, we want to help them, because sometimes when they're angry, number one, we know we messed up and want to fix things, but also sometimes I better take care of this so I don't get in trouble, or we just get them to be quiet or whatever. But we're not quite as happy about helping them out as somebody who's just kind of keeping calm and things like that. So I always tell people, just keep it about the business, focus on, getting resolved whatever it is you need resolved. Okay. And again, start out right away in this message, state what you want. If it's a refund that you're looking for, from order number 123, just simply state your opening sentence should be, "Please refund me $27.99 that I was charged in error on July 5th, 2021 for order number 123. And that's your opening sentence. Put it up there all by itself. And now they know exactly what you want. Then in the body, go in and kind of tell the story. Say, on this date, I ordered this, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's where you justify your request. Sometimes people will kind of write the whole story chronologically, and they won't state what they want until the very end. And that's a little harder for your reader to understand what you're looking for. So state it up front politely. Please is always a good word. Okay. Then explain it in the body, and then close it up at the end nicely. Okay. One thing I would caution somebody on is, if you are, for instance, if you got an item that was incorrect item, or it was defective or something like that. Sometimes I know people will state, "I either want a refund or an exchange." And what I would say is, state what you want, right? Let them offer up the other item, right? And if somebody, because think about it just from this perspective, if a customer says, "I want either a refund or exchange," that means the other party is going to have to contact you again and go, "Which is it? Which do you want?" Or maybe they'll decide for you, right? some vendors will say, well, we'll give you store credit, or something like. So I always say, if you want a refund, state that. And if they want to come back and go, we don't do refunds, but we can give you credit or exchange, let them come back with that. But state what you want up front. And it should just be one thing. Like if they want to give you another option later on, and it's really common. Again, I see people like, well, maybe I want an exchange or maybe I want a refund. It's like, you got to pick one to start with. Okay. This is a pretty good one. I think especially if anything like this has ever happened to you, and you can really, it just makes it easier to write when it's something that happened to you. Okay. And that's number 8.16, a direct claim. If that were me, that would be the one I'd be writing about, because believe me, I order tons of stuff online and have had wrong charges many times. And I could definitely write that one from scratch pretty easily. Finally, 8.18 is an adjustment for an erroneous GPS charge for GPS reversal. This one might sound a little bit out of date, but because everybody just uses their phone now, but this was actually something that sometimes is available in rental cars. Nobody probably pays for it anymore because we do just pull out our phone, but you could have the GPS service activated on cars or some other things. Anyway, as assistant to Joseph A. Morgan, regional manager at Pro Car Rentals, you read a shockingly irate complaint letter from a corporate customer addressed to your boss, Amanda Green, Hedwig, sales manager for Green Engineering Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, has angrily detailed her tribulations with your company's Phoenix Mesa Gateway branch. Why do they make these names so complicated? Anyway, it says, apparently she and a colleague suffered long delays in obtaining a rent-a-car. To compensate for the late car delivery, the customers received complimentary use of a navigation device, $180 value plus tax and surcharges that added up to another $60. However, at the end of their rental car period, their bill reflected the full cost of GPS. After multiple phone calls to the Phoenix Mesa Gateway branch, as well as Pro Car Rentals customer corporate offices, Miss Green Hedwig apparently was finally able to have the $180 credited back to their account. However, she soon realized that the $60 levy had not been credited. She now wants the remainder of the refund. Ms. Hedwig has no confidence in the Phoenix Mesa branch and is asking your boss to intervene on her behalf and reverse the remaining $60 charge. Mr. Morgan asks you to investigate what has gone so terribly wrong at the Phoenix Mesa Gateway location. You learn the branch is an independent franchisee, which may explain the laxness in customer service that is unacceptable under corporate rules. In addition, you find out that the branch manager, Frank Anderson, was traveling on company business during Miss Green Hedwig's rental period and left town to attend 2 management training seminars. Mr. Morgan is concerned that Procar might lose this disappointed customer and decides to offer 20% discount vouchers for the engineering company's next 3 rentals valid at any U.S. branch. He wants you to draft the letter or email in this case and enclose the discount vouchers. So your task is to write a polite adjustment message to Amanda Green Hedwig to secure the customer's goodwill and future business. So you're writing an adjustment, and this is good news, I guess good news in a way. She wants $60 refunded. So the first thing in your message should be answering that question. I know a lot of times in some of these letters, I've seen companies go, thank you so much for your letter. Your service is very important to us, blah, blah, blah. Then they tell them there's a refund. I want you to start right out and say, we've got a refund. So I think the first line of your message say, dear Miss, what's her name again? Green Hedwig, we have credited your account $60 that was charged in error. Boom, right away. Because your customer is going to want to know, where's my $60? And you should tell them right off the bat, boom, we gave you your $60 back. Then in the body, what you would probably want to do is obviously you have some concerns with the service, right? And that particular office and some of those things. And you want to restore the confidence in the customer. And the way that you can do that, first of all, is do not trash that office, that manager. Don't say, yeah, that's a franchise, all those kinds of things. You definitely don't want to throw your colleagues under the bus, even if they did mess things up. It's just really unprofessional. So what you might want to say in the message is, we apologize for the incident at the Phoenix Mesa branch. We are looking into the issues that occurred and are fixing them so that it does not happen again. Something like that. Just explaining that you're reassuring the customer things are going to be corrected. You can handle all that stuff. If it's a problem, if you're the manager of this office, you're going to handle it. You're going to call up whoever that person was, find out what happened, clean things up. but you don't want to air that dirty laundry with your customers. It just looks unprofessional. So just mention that you're looking into it and you'll be addressing any issues that occurred at that office so that they never happen again. And then maybe mention again, you know, customer satisfaction is of the utmost importance to us. And then in the end, in the closing, because you want to kind of encourage them to come back and do business with you, mention that you're giving them, 20% off their next 3 rentals. All right. You want to encourage the business and all that. There's some really good examples of this in the notes I have for chapter 8. And also if you look at the slides that I gave you, but it's kind of tell them, here's your $60. Here's the things we're doing. We apologize. Here's the things we're doing to fix it. And then again, some things to reassure them as a customer, including offering them the 20% discount voucher. You have no idea what's going to happen here. I mean, you know, it might work out, it might not. You know, but at this point, your responsibilities are tell them about their refund, tell them what you're doing to fix it, and then offer up 20%, right? So that they'll come rent a car with you again, okay? So what you need to do is choose one of those 3 options. Again, either 8.9, right? Planning the winter treat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, a direct request, a direct claim, 8.16, or the adjustment, 8.18. And your selection is due on Friday, June 16th. Just go ahead and upload that to Canvas and just choose one of those options. If you do have questions, please contact me. Send me an email through Canvas so that I can answer that for you. If it's a little unclear, it's a little confusing, I'll try and undo that a little bit. Also, I will be having online optional Zoom lectures on Monday the 12th and Wednesday the 14th. And so even if you don't want to hear whatever topic I'm talking about, that's a good opportunity to log in and ask me any questions that you might have. So again, good luck with the assignment, and I look forward to reading your positive messages.